This is the Reporter's Notebook, hosted by Elaine Shane.
Welcome to this entry in the DTN Reporter's Notebook. I'm Elaine Shane, and we're joined today by DTN Senior Ag Meteorologist Bryce Anderson, and we're looking today at what's happening with the drought situation. What's the general drought situation now?
Well, Elaine, at this point, it's sort of a have and have not type thing, with most of the eastern half of the U.S. from the Mississippi Valley on east out of drought. That's where the rainfall has been concentrated the most over the past few months. Now, there is an area of west central Illinois that is rather dry, but mostly you get east of the Mississippi and things are not too bad. Now, obviously, west of the Mississippi, it is drier. Much of Iowa, Minnesota has stage 1 to stage 2 drought going on in moderate to some cases severe drought. It's still a lot better than last year. But then from the western plains, especially central Kansas and central Nebraska on west, conditions are a lot drier. And obviously when you get into the far west, we're seeing at this point unprecedented drought in California in the history of the Drought Monitor, which has been around since 2000. Parts of the Central Valley of California have exceptional drought, stage 4. They've never seen that since the Drought Monitor began almost 15 years ago.
Yes, we've been hearing that the governor of California actually called it a state of emergency, I think statewide. Just how much would they need to even bounce back from something like that? Well,
in terms of actual moisture, we're talking about in the range of 10 to 15 inches of actual liquid precipitation, and the chronic problem that is going on is that the Sierra Nevada mountains have had very, very little snow so far this season. Much of California, as we know, is quite dry anyway, but the snowpack from the Sierras provides irrigation water to allow field areas, farm areas like the Central Valley to be the kind of productive locations that they are. And snowpack is well below normal. I believe it is only around 10% of normal in the Sierras, and that is the real concern going into this spring.
I saw drier, going back to say the gold rush. So.
Well, there's certainly the comparison that is in recent memory, or somewhat recent memories, in the mid 1970s. There's been that that kind of 40-year and then longer in some respects.
Let's turn to the Midwest again. What are the chances of them getting moisture in some of the dry areas there?
I think they're pretty decent. I think we could see a few dry pockets in parts of Iowa and Minnesota going into this spring, but in the Dakotas, there's a lot of soil moisture. I mean, the water year precipitation totals in the Dakotas are well above average, and in much of the Ohio Valley and the Eastern Corn Belt, also the water year precipitation has been well above average. So you're talking about some sections of the Midwest, of the Corn Belt. That's the reason why conditions are not nearly as concerning as they were a year ago at this time.
Another place that we're looking at is the Southern Plains and far west compared to a year ago. What are the chances there of them getting moisture?
I think they're very questionable because there is the chance that El Nino is going to form in the Pacific with warmer water temperatures around the equator and all that type of thing later this year. But I don't think that the timing is going to be such that any jet stream winds from El Nino development are going to bring moisture into that Southern Plains area. I think that that's going to have to happen probably later this fall. I also think that leads to a question about acreage regarding crop production. I think it leads to a question about pastures. I think it leads to a question about hay supplies. I think it leads to a question about the ability of ranchers in the Southwest Plains to really get into rebuilding the cattle herd after the horrors that we saw with drought in the past 2 to 3 years.
Thanks, Bryce.
You're welcome.
With Bryce Anderson, I'm Elaine Shane, and that's today's entry in the DTN Reporter's Notebook. Thanks for joining us.
This has been the Reporter's Notebook from the DTN Progressive Farmer Newsroom.